Hey, I know I've talked about this before, but I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a deeper dive on the subject of how mush really changed my relationships. So I've been thinking a lot about this because my life has changed so much in the last few months since I've been on this journey with the mush. And I think what I've discovered is that when my boyfriend and I first got together, we were both coming from really unhealed places. We were both like really struck in survival mode, I guess is what I would say. I had been married and in a long-term relationship and basically left my relationship to be with my current boyfriend. As I've shared before, we met in 5th grade, and when we met, I kind of had that feeling like this is someone important. And of course, we dated in 7th grade briefly, kind of drifted apart, and every now and then we'd see each other. And then right before we got together, we were back in contact. And yeah, so long story short, that's kind of how we ended up together. We got back in touch through a mutual friend, and when they broke up, I decided to see whether it was our time. And so after we got together, I quickly, like within a week, left my then husband and moved in with my mother. Left that relationship, ended up getting divorced, but kind of jumped right into this current relationship that I'm in right now. At the time we got together, he was living with his mother, so we were both living with our mothers, which was an interesting dynamic. I'm very lucky. My mother-in-law is amazing and I get along with her very well, but it's still challenging to be in a new relationship and also navigate their relationship, and it's just awkward, right? So, and as I've shared before, lots of drinking happening. I don't, he had not had a lot of stability in his life up until that point. Yeah, so I think we were both just really wounded, didn't really know ourselves very well. And as we continued on, that pattern kind of continued. I basically was willing to do whatever it took to keep that relationship, whether it was a healthy decision or not. I think I sacrificed a lot of myself. I know I've shared this before too, that I kind of put other people's needs in front of mine. I said what I thought people would want me to say, like didn't want to have an opinion about anything because I didn't want to be rejected if I had an opinion, that sort of thing. So kind of a chameleon. And along the way, and even before we were dating, shoved a lot of my feelings down. I didn't allow myself to feel my feelings. I pretended that everything was okay, wanted to be the strong one, wanted to never need anything from anyone, that kind of stuff. So just got really disconnected from myself. And then on top of everything else, I was in a job eventually. Pretty much every job I've had, well, that's not true. I was gonna say, besides my first nursing job, I kind of ended up hating, but pretty much most of the jobs I've worked at as a nurse have gone really badly. Most of them seem great at first, and then something has ended up happening where it was no longer a good situation, and I ended up really having to drag myself to work each and every day and thinking, is this all there is? Like, there's something wrong with me. Why is everybody else able to show up for this job and pretend like everything's fine when I am struggling so hard, so hard? So, yeah, I don't think things were not going well for me. I will just say that. I think I did a lot of pretending that everything was fine. But in our relationship, we never really talked about really anything of importance. A lot of the time had friends around, we were out socializing, partying, whatever. And so, yeah, we didn't really ever stop to take the time to have meaningful conversations, hopes, dreams, that kind of thing. We kind of just day to day got in our routines. Lots of talk about the dogs, of course, and their care. We've had a lot of dogs that needed special care or surgeries or chemotherapy or whatever. So just focusing on kind of the day-to-day tasks, especially when I stopped drinking. Like, there was a weird dynamic there where things weren't the same as they used to be, but trying to kind of figure out the new normal. And when you're not emotionally attached or in touch, it gets to be really tricky. So anyway, I had started to do the work. I had found yoga, daily yoga practice, and along with that comes breath work, which was super impactful for me. As someone who was chronically anxious, it got me out of my head and into my body, which I desperately needed. It made life more enjoyable, less stressful. I felt like I could show up and be a better human being. So I was on my way when I came into contact with microdosing mush, and I was just curious about it. It was an opportunity that presented itself, and I kind of said to myself, why not? Let's try it. I really had no expectations, but I was a new business owner, kind of struggling with all that comes along with starting a business. I, feel old with the technology. I had not been on social media. I really didn't know where to start. So as I started the business, this is an opportunity, as I said, that presented it to me, and I just said, why not, right? I have got nothing to lose. I had dabbled recreationally and always had pleasant experiences, so I decided, why not? I didn't do any research, whatever. I didn't know what I was really getting into. What I discovered is that, and this was explained to me, that it offers our brain's neuroplasticity. So as we age, our brain becomes inflexible. When you're young, it's much more plastic, so it's flexible. That's why kids can learn things much more easily. Their brains are flexible and they can learn new things. But as we age, our brain kind of, firms up, and it's harder to learn new things. Our limiting beliefs are cemented in our brain, so it's much harder to get rid of some of those chronic thoughts, patterns, beliefs. So mush offers neuroplasticity, where it's easier, our brains become more flexible again, and it's easier to learn new things. It's easier to let go of the old, outdated beliefs that we have for ourselves. And our brain can actually start rewiring itself. So if you have trauma and you have neural pathways that hit on the trauma in your brain, it can actually form new neural pathways and kind of go around the trauma. So it's actually showing some good research that it's effective for PTSD, trauma, those kinds of things, which is really exciting. And it's also been shown for anxiety and depression. It helps with that. But of course, it's not a magic pill. You have to do the work alongside it, and it's important that you have a guide who makes sure this is safe for you and kind of points you in the right direction, if nothing else, in terms of what other tools you can use alongside, like breath work or journaling, meditation, just exercises that will help you kind of get to the root of what's going on and make sure that you're doing this in a safe manner. So I began my microdose as I was joining a business course, and so I was looking at a lot of the limiting beliefs that I have had since childhood that really put me at a disadvantage as a new business owner. You need to be confident, you need to be self-assured, you need to not be spinning out every which way and in your head constantly. I was living my life out of fear so many ways, and holding myself back. I missed a lot of opportunities because I was afraid that if I tried something new, I wouldn't be able to do it perfectly. So as I went through my 8-week microdose, I was able to have so many light bulb moments, reflecting on my past and the ways that I've shown up in the world in the past that I didn't want to bring with me moving forward. I gained so much confidence. I never thought that I'd be making videos and posting them on YouTube, Facebook, the internet. I never wanted to have a business. I gained confidence in talking about what I was doing because at first I wasn't really sharing with anybody what I was up to, which isn't going to get you a successful business. I had so many things that popped up in my life along the way, things I was ashamed of, choices that I made that I wouldn't share with anybody. I was such a wounded human being. And I was able to face these things, process these things, and come to a place where I am peaceful. I am talking about these things now. I would never have shared half of the things I've been talking about previously. But what freedom that brought. When I was not ashamed and not scared to look at and talk about these things, there was nothing holding me back. So I was able to get out of my head, I think I would describe it as become the person I always wanted to be, but was afraid to own, if that makes sense. And because I wasn't anxious anymore, I wasn't nitpicking. Like, who wants to have a rough day at work, come home, sit down, and then start being bitched at by their girlfriend, right? That's not good for a relationship. I was so miserable that that's all I knew how to do. And now I'm slowing down at the end of each night at the very least and thinking about my day and celebrating wins. If you're in gratitude, if you can see the wins of your day, you're much more likely to find these things in your everyday life. My mood has improved so much. If something happens and it's unexpected, it doesn't throw my whole day off. That's what used to happen. I can stop, take a breath, pivot, and come up with a new solution. I am not getting angry as more. I have a fiery temper, and that is not showing up these days. So I feel like I'm just such an easier person to be around these days. I'm getting accused of being up to something because I'm smiling all the time. And it's not just for show. I used to put on a good face and pretend that everything was fine, whereas now it actually is fine. And it's weird, and I love it. So I had to calm my nervous system, realize that I was safe to show up however I needed to in the moment, be a genuinely authentic human being. I show up with curiosity now instead of accusations, and it has opened the doors for so many more conversations. beautiful conversations. I was so in my head and focused on what I was doing before. Honestly, I didn't really care what was going on for other people. I really didn't. I couldn't see past what was going on with me. I was not approachable. I was not approachable. So, as I like to say, my first microdose softened my heart. I felt and still feel connected to something bigger than me. And so now I've had a second experience. And so this has helped my relationship as well. We are now continuing to talk about real things. I mean, 15, almost 16 years into our relationship, I'm learning things about my partner that I never would have guessed. And it's because he knows that it's safe now to talk about these things with me. I'm not going to snap at him. I'm not going to judge him. I'm just genuinely curious, and it has affected our relationship so positively. We are now closer than ever. When we're talking, we're not looking at our phones. I used to do that all the time. I would be having a conversation, but also on my phone. I wasn't paying attention to either thing. How rude, how disrespectful, and how dismissive. So that's not happening anymore. Um, we're very intentional when we're together to be actually like making eye contact, letting each other know that we're listening, that we care what we're talking about. It's great. And I only expect this to continue to get better. So I just wanted to share that. I wanted to share my experience because if you're curious about Mush, whether it would be an effective tool for you, honestly, I can't say enough good things about it. But again, it is important to be safe about it. There are certain medications, if you're taking them, it's a hard stop. There are certain medical conditions, if you have them, you should not be taking this medicine. But um, I'm super excited to share my experiences and help as many people as I can. Um, I want everyone to live the best life they possibly can. What I've realized over the past few years is life is way too short to be miserable. I have some big dreams for a big life, an exciting life full of fun, adventure. So, if you're curious, I'd be happy to chat with you to see if it's a good fit for you. Definitely let me know. I am here for all of it. So, I hope you're having a beautiful day, and we'll talk soon.